Imagine having complete control over your health, complete control over your fitness, your body, weight, your skin, your sleep. It's pretty well understood at this point that diet affects everything in your life. That's why people wanting to change and better their diet is far and away the number one thing that people come to me for help with. It's about so much more than weight loss and weight management, from general health to strength, mood, energy, gut health, even your relationships, how much money you make. It's all affected by what you put into your body. Literally, you are what you eat. So it makes sense that you'd start paying attention to it. Welcome to Change Made Easy. Changing your habits, routines, and behaviors is hard. We make it easy. I'm Paul Levitin, a board licensed coach who has been helping people just like you create positive change in their health, wealth, and relationships for well over a decade. Warren Buffett said, "Habits are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken." This is especially true with small habits that we do frequently. And I don't know what's a smaller or more frequent habit in your life than eating. It's so ever present in our lives, and it's on just about everyone's mind. And it's because it's so ever present that it can be so extremely hard to change. And that's why today I'm going to give you a simple trick to make eating and diet choices a non-issue. Not just for weight loss, but so you can feel better, move better, live better, and improve the life of you and your loved ones while you're at it. It's that simple. Now let's make it easy. So, why am I dedicating a whole episode to meal prepping? Well, a few reasons. If you go back to the episode titled Morning Routines Made Easy, which if you haven't listened to is linked in the show notes, one of the super simple keys to a 3-step morning routine I gave was having your food planned out for the day. And as I mentioned in the intro, we understand that food is not just about weight loss. Everyone is on some sort of a diet. You don't have to be trying to lose weight to be on a diet. If you are alive, you are on a diet right now. Most people want to be eating healthier. It is a top goal when you rank New Year's resolutions, birthday goals, summer goals, whatever it is always the thing. So if we can simplify eating, you can get back so much time and energy that you can then spend on winning in other places. So you get healthier, you get better, you feel better, you have more time, energy, and money, and that's a win-win-win-win-win. That's exponential. The food choices you make affect your health, and also the health of those around you. If you're a parent, it's pretty obvious, but even if not, the way that you eat affect your friends, your partner. So when you understand that their food choices affect their health, and your food choices affect their food choices, you see that you're actually indirectly influencing the health and well-being of everyone around you. And that's not an exaggeration, it's just reality. So I think it's worth talking about because, as you'll hear in a moment, the lessons that will make you better at meal prepping will also make you better in any change that you're trying to implement. Remember, everything is the same. So changing your diet follows the same rules as changing your finance or your relationships. I promise. About 2 years ago, a guy named Kyle reached out to me on Facebook. Kyle was one of those Facebook friends that I had met once in person years ago. We were Facebook friends, and that was that. So when he reached out to me, I didn't really know anything about him except that we had met once in person like 15 years ago. And he told me that he'd been struggling with weight loss, which is typical. A lot of people see my content and they reach out to me about weight loss. But then he hit me with something I didn't expect. So when I asked him, all right, look, how much do you weigh? How much do you want to lose? He said, I weigh 700 pounds. Yeah, 700. I was speechless. And he told me if he didn't lose the weight, he was afraid he was going to die. He had already lost the ability to walk. He was bedridden. He couldn't work. He was being taken care of by friends and family. It was pretty bad. And he reached out to me in a last-ditch effort when he had tried literally everything and was ready to give up. He also didn't have money since he couldn't work. He was on low options for food, for everything. I really just wanted to help, so I offered to help him for free, and we started to work together to change his habits around food with the goal of eventually being able to get him ready to be able to move again so he could add exercise as well. So like most people assume when we started to work together, what he assumed was I'd give him some sort of a meal plan and just say, follow this. But the reality is most of the work I do with people, weight loss or not, is around mindset. So there's a tactical side having to do with food choices, eat this and not that. That is a part of it. but usually it's not as crucial as the mental game. So the first question I asked him was, "What have you tried already?" And he said all the normal things. "I've been eating more salads. I've been cutting out fried foods. I'm not eating as much candy." But all of these things, he said, I tried that for a while, but then this would happen. Because remember, he was bedridden. So he was relying on family and friends to take care of him. Some people would bring him cooked food. Some people would bring him fast food. Sometimes he would just order Uber Eats if someone gave him $20. Sometimes it was his grandparents. He had cousins. He had aunts. Sometimes it was his neighbors. Some of these people would cook for him, but some just picked up fast food or even gas station food on the way home. And they were all helping the best that they could. So immediately I saw the first issue. And you might not have several hundred pounds to lose, but this is an issue that I've seen play out over and over with the majority of people that I've worked with. The issue is poor planning. And poor planning is tricky because people often assume that it means not having a plan. So they think, okay, my issue is planning. Once I have a plan, then all good. But there's another side of it, which is actually too much planning, over planning, which can be equally detrimental. I say a lot, you don't achieve success by accident. Jim Rohn famously said, fail to plan, plan to fail. But having too strict of a plan is just as harmful. And that one throws people off because it's natural to assume if no plan is bad, then yes plan is good. It would be nice if it were that simple, but there's nuance there. A plan that's too strict and too rigid will not allow the flexibility for the natural twists and turns of life. I am so pumped to tell you about my partnership with MyBodyTutor. MyBodyTutor is the world's leading nutrition coaching platform that helps people find their healthy weight and keep it forever through sustainable habit change. If you listen to this show, you know that we do not suffer from a lack of information. Most people know what they need to change. The problem is actually sticking to it long enough to see results. When it comes to diet, exercise, and getting in shape, MyBodyTutor solves this problem by giving you customized plans, one-on-one coaching, and daily accountability. As a bonus for you, they are offering $50 off your first month. What makes MyBodyTutor so unique is they offer daily accountability with a real human coach. That's someone to check in with you, talk to, plan with, someone who can help you when things are going hard. It's not ChatGPT, it's not some algorithm. This is a real human. I know because I'm one of them. I have been working with MyBodyTutor as one of their tutors since 2020. With so much nonsense and misinformation and just bad actors out in the health and wellness space, MyBodyTutor is helping people the real way. They are changing lives. I've seen it firsthand, and I'm honored to be a part of it. Check out MyBodyTutor.com, where you can see hundreds of testimonials and reviews. And remember, listeners of this show get $50 off their first month. Just click the link in the show notes or go to MyBodyTutor.com and tell them Paul from Change Made Easy sent you in your intake questionnaire, and you'll automatically get a huge discount. On top of that, they offer a money-back, risk-free guarantee. So this is really a no-brainer. And like I said, I really do work for them. So if you've ever wanted to work with me personally, you can even request to have me as your body tutor. How cool would that be? Once again, just say Paul sent you and get $50 off your first month, start with no risk, and see how the power of a coach with daily accountability can literally change your life. Flexibility is key because what doesn't bend will break. This is why you see people stick to a super strict diet like keto for a while, but then they fall off because they have a very rigid plan, but the moment it breaks a little, the whole thing crumbles. Too much planning is often setting you up for failure as much as not having a plan is. And that's what was happening with Kyle. He and his family were swinging between no plan at all, when they were just winging it, grabbing fast food, ordering Uber Eats, and having to plan so much where he was trying to get people to cook healthy meals for them that it was unsustainable and it was unachievable. And that set him up for failure on both sides of the coin. So to get around this, the first step was to come up with a flexible plan that could be achieved with his current abilities, his restraints, and his restrictions. So prior to this, he had a great plan that worked some of the time. He had been told by doctors that he needed to have healthy food cooked for him. And that worked when his grandparents were around who would actually cook for him. But then he'd have other days where his aunt and uncle were taking care of him, or where his neighbors were picking up food, and they didn't have the time to cook whole meals. They'd come, they'd see a fridge full of uncooked food, and they'd just go, sorry, I have to just swing by Wendy's. So that's when we started talking about meal prepping. And I asked him if he'd ever tried it before. And he said, well, I thought about it, but my grandparents are the only ones who cook, and they can barely cook for me 2 to 3 times a week as is. They're not going to be able to cook a whole week's worth of food while they're here and put it into the little portion containers and do all that stuff. It's just too much work for them. They're too old. And that's a common mistake that I've heard over the years. When people hear meal prep, instantly their brain goes to the bodybuilder eating the same chicken and broccoli out of those black plastic takeout containers 7 days a week. And that either seems unappealing, which I understand, or logistically impossible. So they go, nope, not for me. And that makes sense because I wouldn't want to do that either. But the mistake that he was making is looking at meal prepping through a very narrow lens, looking at it as only this one specific way, like this and only like this, which goes back to what I was just saying. It's too rigid, too planned out, thus unsustainable. So what we did was work together to come up with some other options, some in-between things that were better than having no plan and being left to fend for gas station food, but not as bad as making his poor old granny meal prep 21 meals a week like he's a bodybuilder. So the first step was to think of meal prepping as a spectrum or a sliding scale rather than just one set thing. Because again, he had a picture in his mind of what it was to have meals prepped. And since that picture wasn't doable, the whole idea got thrown out. So he started to brainstorm, what else could this look like? And I asked, what were the times that he felt that he ate the worst? And he said that it was easily when his aunt was the one getting food because she often was coming straight from work and didn't have time to cook, so she would just stop and get fast food. The healthy options like Sweet Green and Panera Bread were too expensive, and so he was often left with dollar menu burgers because that's stuff that he could get for $10 or less. Said, okay, great, let's solve for that. So the issue is there's no time to cook, but you don't want to spend $20+ on a Sweet Green salad. Did you know that your aunt could actually go to a grocery store and in the same amount of time it takes to go through the Wendy's drive-thru, pick up a pre-cooked rotisserie chicken and a pre-made bag of salad or a pre-cooked veggies, and boom, you have for less than $10, 3 or 4 meals in the same amount of time. Said, oh no, I didn't think of that. So we kept going down the line, picking through the obstacles he continued to see pop up, breaking them down one by one. And through this process, he and I came up with 4 levels of meal prepping that he could use, again, as a sliding scale rather than thinking of it as one set thing. And this is something that I've gone on to use with many of my clients and with myself. So each level of meal prepping comes with a varied amount of effort and commitment so it can fit any schedule or situation. So level 4 is the meal prepping that we've talked about. That's the bodybuilder meal prep. It's taking one day a week, usually a Sunday or Saturday over the weekend, doing your grocery shopping, cooking all your meals, perfectly portioning them out into prepackaged containers. They're sitting in the fridge ready to go. You grab lunch, you microwave it. You grab dinner, you microwave it. This can be great if you're extremely dedicated and you have an entire day to cook and prep, and also if you don't mind eating the same things over and over for multiple days. But a lot of people either don't have the time, don't have the inclination, or they just don't want to eat the same thing for 3, 4, 5 days in a row. So a step down from that is level 3 meal prepping. Level 3 meal prepping is about prepping your bases and most of your proteins. So you cook a big batch of rice and a big thing of chicken. Maybe you pre-slice some vegetables and you put those in the fridge. On this level, you don't actually put meals together. And this is why I love this level, because it leaves more options for opportunities and variety. So you have chicken, rice, and some vegetables. You could make a chicken, rice, broccoli, teriyaki bowl one day. And then the next day, chicken, rice, beans, and throw some salsa to make a Mexican style. You're getting the bulk of the prep done, the heavy lifting, so to speak, but you're not forcing yourself to eat one thing over and over. And you're not getting as dialed in as actually portioning out things into tiny little containers. You can just leave everything in a big pot in the fridge. So this is great if you have the time or the inclination to cook, but you want more variety, and you also don't want to take the time to pack everything in tiny individual containers. And obviously, you could also freeze stuff and then thaw it as you go. This is the level that I usually do. My girlfriend and I like to cook, but we don't want to eat the same thing every day. So batch prepping protein and some sides makes it easier during the week. It gives us time back to commit to the things that we want to do and we need our time for, but it gives us more options. So one night we might take the proteins and the rice and make tacos. One day we'll do a bowl. One day we'll do a salad. It's all using the same cooked chicken, ground beef, turkey, tofu, or whatever, but mixing it up in different ways. So we want to stick to it. Level 2, this is even easier, is just buying pre-cooked food, but better for you versions. So this is great, again, if you're busy or you just don't like cooking or don't know how to cook, and you don't want to rely on takeout and delivery every single night. Like I told Kyle, you can get a rotisserie chicken and a salad from the grocery store. You can get pre-cooked proteins from the freezer in your grocery store. So pre-cooked grilled chicken, pre-cooked steak, pre-cooked turkey. You can get frozen pre-cooked veggies, pre-made sides and salads. You can get minute rice. Now, with all of these components, you have the contents of meals that you can throw together a healthy meal in 10 minutes or less using only your microwave. So what this is doing is getting you out of the headspace of, well, if I can't cook, my only option is to eat out or order out. There's, again, a big gap in between eating like crap because my only option is fast food and having to cook a 5-star, 5-course meal. There are lots of options in the grocery freezer aisle, the pre-cooked grocery aisle, that are healthier than what you would get at a fast food place, also cheaper, also easier. And the last level, level 1, isn't even really meal prepping, but it does bear talking about, and that's simply buying better things. I've had many clients in the past who operate under the assumption that, well, if I could cook, I'd eat better, but since I have to eat out because of my schedule or because of work dinners or because I just hate cooking, then there's nothing I can do. But that's demonstrably not true. Something is always better than nothing. There's an old joke that people like to tell. It was like, I saw someone go into McDonald's and order a Big Mac and a large fries and a Diet Coke. And they say it like it's silly to order a Diet Coke at that point. But that's not true. A Diet Coke is better than a regular Coke. A large Diet Coke from McDonald's is 400 calories. So if that person drinks a Diet Coke instead of a regular Coke, that's still 400 less calories, 100 less grams of sugar than they're having. So similarly with Kyle, even when his aunt had to pick up fast food, I pushed him to just ask to try to get slightly better options. Because again, if you haven't thought about this stuff, it's easy to just resort to what we know. So when getting fast food, a burger and fries was just the obvious thing. But if you just look a little bit, there are healthier options. There's grilled nuggets, grilled chicken sandwiches, some salads at fast food places, often for the same price, for less calories. Same thing when he was getting gas station snacks. Instead of just getting a candy bar and a soda, ask for a yogurt and a protein bar. Ask for a seltzer instead of a Mountain Dew. These are small changes that, again, seem so small that they're easy to overlook, but small hinges swing big doors. So to sum it up, meal prepping in some capacity can be helpful for most people because it saves time, energy, money, and mental bandwidth. It also leads to better, healthier eating decisions because no one plans ahead to eat like junk and feel like crap. That usually happens from a lack of planning, a lack of time, and a lack of energy, where you get yourself into a screw it mentality because you don't have the time or energy to do something better. So all of this will help you be better in all areas, whether weight loss is a goal or not. And remember that all of this stuff affects other areas of your life. This is not just about food. There's life lessons that you can learn from meal prepping. So the life lesson 1 from meal prepping is the farther ahead you can make a decision, the less emotion-driven and more logic-driven that decision will be. Meal prepping can look lots of different ways. It's not just that black Tupperware eating bland chicken and rice. Life lesson 2 is if you take a broader view, you can be more likely to find success. Flexibility leads to consistency. Rigidity leads to giving up. The key is to simplify the goal enough that you're actually going to stick to it, while also finding what works for you. So that means for some people, prepping an entire meal's worth of meals on a Sunday helps them free up time and space during the week. Great for them. Some people can't stand the thought of that. Life lesson number 3, it's about what works for you. There is no one right rule to all of this. So whether it's planning your meals, planning your exercise, planning your business, find what works for you and what you can stay consistent with. Look at it like a sliding scale, not through a narrow lens, and you'll be much more likely to find long-term success. Before I go, you might be asking, so what happened to Kyle? Well, he ended up losing over 200 pounds just from the small habit changes that we implemented. And that was enough to get him mobile again. to get him out of bed and gave him back some sense of autonomy and independence. It was enough to get the ball rolling, so he was able to start physical therapy, and now he's continuing to make changes towards his success. The mindset shift away from, there's no way that I can do this, to let's figure this out, was the most impactful thing for him. Along with some simple tactical planning, that was enough to really affect major change in his life, and it will do the same for you. That is change made easy. If you're working on changing your diet, exercise, or other habits around food and fitness, you have to check out MyBodyTutor. MyBodyTutor is the world's leading nutrition coaching platform that helps people find their healthy weight and keep it forever through sustainable habit change. And you know, as a listener of this show, that when it comes to creating change, it's all about sustainability and consistency. And when it comes to diet, exercise, and getting in shape, MyBodyTutor solves the problem of consistency through one-on-one coaching, customized plans, and daily accountability. And as a bonus for you, they're offering $50 off your first month. But what really makes MyBodyTutor so unique is they offer daily accountability with a real human coach. And I know because I'm one of them. I have been working with MyBodyTutor since 2020. There's so much misinformation, so much nonsense out there in the health and wellness space, but not with MyBodyTutor. MyBodyTutor is the real deal. They are changing lives. I've seen it, I've been a part of it, and I'm honored to continue to grow with them. And you don't have to take my word for it. Check out mybodytutor.com, where you will see hundreds of testimonials and reviews. And as a special bonus, for listeners of this show, you will get $50 off your first month. Just click the link in the show notes or go to mybodytutor.com and tell them Paul from Change Made Easy sent you in your intake questionnaire, and you'll automatically get a huge discount. And remember, they offer a money-back, risk-free guarantee, so this is a no-brainer for you. And no joke, I really do work for them. So if you want to work with me personally, ask for Paul as your tutor. Once again, tell them Paul from Change Made Easy sent you for $50 off your first month. Start with no risk and see how the power of a coach with daily accountability can literally change your life.